Philosophical writings and personal journals in ancient China. For thousands of years, the wisdom of ancient China has been preserved through philosophical writings and personal journals. These records were more than just words on paper. They were gateways into the minds of great thinkers, offering insights into morality, governance, and the mysteries of life itself. The role of philosophy in ancient China. During the Warring States period, 475 to 221 BCE, China was a land in turmoil, with competing kingdoms constantly at war. Amidst this chaos, great philosophers emerged, seeking to restore harmony and order. Their writings would shape Chinese thought for millennia. The most influential of these thinkers was Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE. His disciples compiled his teachings into a book known as the Analects, Luan Yu, a collection of sayings and discussions. Confucius emphasized respect for elders and the importance of family values. Righteous leadership, where rulers must lead with virtue. Education and self-improvement, believing that a well-educated society leads to peace. His ideas became the foundation of Confucianism, which influenced Chinese governance, education, and social relationships for over 2,000 years. Taoism, the philosophy of harmony with nature. While Confucius focused on social order, another thinker, Laozi, introduced a different perspective. His book, the Tao Te Ching, Tao Te Ching, emphasized the concept of Tao, or the way, a natural force that flows through everything. Laozi's teachings encouraged simplicity and living in harmony with nature. Non-interference, where rulers should govern with minimal force. Balance and duality, as symbolized by the yin-yang. This philosophy, known as Taoism, inspired generations of scholars, poets, and mystics, shaping Chinese culture and traditional medicine. Personal journals. Windows into ancient lives. Beyond grand philosophical treatises, many scholars kept personal journals, recording their daily lives, observations, and reflections. These journals give us a rare, intimate glimpse into the past. One of the most famous journal keepers was Sima Qian, 145 to 86 BCE, the grand historian of the Han Dynasty. He wrote the records of the grand historian, Shiji, a vast history of China covering over 2,000 years. His journal documented political events, military campaigns, and even personal struggles, making it one of the most detailed historical accounts of ancient China. Other notable figures, such as Su Shi, 1037 to 1101 CE, a poet and philosopher, kept diaries filled with poetry and reflections on nature, love, and the human condition. His writings still inspire readers today. The legacy of ancient Chinese writings. The philosophical texts and personal journals of ancient China were more than historical records. They were guides for life. They shaped dynasties, influenced scholars across Asia, and continue to inspire modern thought. Even today, people turn to the wisdom of Confucius, Laozi, and ancient scholars for answers to life's biggest questions. Their words remind us that true wisdom is timeless, and the search for knowledge never ends. Thank you for reading. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more insights into history and philosophy. Thank you. The Tang and Song Dynasties. The Golden Age of Literature. For over 1,000 years, the Tang, 618 to 907 CE, and Song, 960 to 1279 CE, dynasties represented the golden age of literature in China. It was a time when poetry flourished, scholars thrived, and artistic expression reached new heights. This was an era of innovation, cultural sophistication, and literary masterpieces that would influence generations to come. But how did this period become such a turning point in literary history? What were the forces that shaped it, and who were the great minds behind it? Join us as we journey back in time to explore the poetry, prose, and storytelling of the Tang and Song dynasties. The Tang Dynasty. Poetry reaches new heights. Scroll visuals. Ancient scrolls, ink brushes, calligraphy in motion scroll. The Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, is often called the Golden Age of Chinese poetry. Poetry was not just a form of artistic expression, it was a way of life. Scholars, officials, and even emperors composed poems, capturing the beauty of nature, the pain of war, and the emotions of everyday life. One of the most influential poets of this era was Li Bai, 701 to 762 CE. Often called the immortal poet, Li Bai was known for his romantic and free-spirited poetry. His verses painted vivid pictures of the moonlit rivers, soaring mountains, and drunken nights of inspiration. Fountain Pen, one of his most famous poems, Drinking Alone by Moonlight, expresses both loneliness and a deep connection with nature. I raise my cup to invite the bright moon. With my shadow we become three. Li Bai's poetry was effortless, yet profound, and his work remains one of the greatest treasures of Chinese literature. But alongside Li Bai stood another literary giant, Du Fu, 712 to 770 CE. While Li Bai's poetry was often dreamy and mystical, Du Fu's was grounded in reality. He wrote about war, suffering, and social injustice. Fountain Pen, his poem, Spring View, captures the devastation of war. The nation is shattered, yet mountains and rivers remain. Spring in the city, grass and trees grow deep. Du Fu's poetry reflected the struggles of common people and the hardships of a declining empire, earning him the title poet-historian. Together, Li Bai and Du Fu symbolized the two great styles of Tang poetry, one of imagination and one of realism. The Song Dynasty, a new era of prose and innovation. Open book visuals, imperial courts, scholars writing with ink brushes, bustling city markets. Open book. The Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, took literature in a new direction. While poetry still flourished, prose, essays, and storytelling became more refined and widespread. One of the most important developments was the rise of ci poetry, a form that was more fluid and lyrical than traditional verse. Instead of strict lines and structures, ci poetry followed the rhythms of music, making it deeply emotional and expressive. One of the masters of this form was Su Shi, 1037 to 1101 CE, also known as Su Dongpa. He was not only a poet but also a scholar, painter, and government official. His poetry was witty, insightful, and often playful, capturing the joys and sorrows of life. Fountain Pen, in his famous poem Water Tune Song, he reflects on nostalgia and longing. Life is like a dream, a cup of wine brings fleeting joy. The Song Dynasty also saw the rise of prose literature. Ouyang Xiu, 1007 to 1072 CE, revolutionized the essay format, emphasizing clarity, logic, and storytelling. His works influenced future generations of scholars, historians, and government officials. The growth of fiction, folktales, and early novels. Books, visuals, storytellers in tea houses, illustrated manuscripts, animated scroll paintings. Books. While poetry and essays dominated, fiction and storytelling also grew during the Song Dynasty. Folktales, ghost stories, and adventure narratives became popular in cities and villages. Storytellers entertained crowds in markets and tea houses, spinning tales of heroic warriors, cunning tricksters, and supernatural beings. Open book. One of the most famous collections was The Records of the Listener, Yi, compiled by Hong Mai, 1123 to 1202 CE. This book gathered hundreds of strange and mysterious stories, from haunted temples to encounters with wandering spirits. Such stories would later inspire the great Chinese novels of the Ming and Qing dynasties, like Journey to the West and The Water Margin. The enduring legacy of Tang and Song literature. Film frames, visuals, modern calligraphy, poetry recitations, bustling cityscapes blending past and present. Film frames. Even today, the literature of the Tang and Song dynasties continues to inspire poets, writers, and artists around the world. Their works have been translated into dozens of languages, studied by scholars, and even adapted into modern music, film, and digital media. What makes this literature so timeless? It speaks to universal emotions: love, loss, hope, and longing. It captures the beauty of nature and the impermanence of life. It offers wisdom and philosophical insight, relevant even in the modern world. The golden age of Chinese literature may have occurred over 1,000 years ago, but its echoes still resonate today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the golden age of Chinese literature. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more explorations into history, literature, and culture. Which ancient Chinese poet or writer inspires you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring history. Clapperboard screen fades to black. Final chime sound. Clapperboard.